On this episode of Bum with a Wrench, I wanted to kind of give you guys an update on what happened at Power Tour. Wish it was Power Tour. Duct tape drags. So, tried to get the red car done. Couldn't get it done. Still don't know what's wrong with it. I've got other stuff I'm attending to right now, and I'll probably be on that for the next couple weeks. Sorry, I got something going on with my throat. It's been like that for the last couple days. Anyways, duct tape drags. Got the motorhome, loaded the 65 on the drop and load trailer, pulled by the Ram pickup, and put my son in the motorhome. We had a pretty good time going out there. We were playing games and laughing, and he likes the trains and the trucks and stuff. He's 3, so he thought it was a pretty good time. So we got out there. I was a little concerned with this car overheating, getting hot. So when we first got it off the trailer, I was telling my buddy Jason, don't let it run, shut it off, and then turn it back on as we go to move. That way it doesn't overheat. 107 degrees it was, 107. That's the way it was going to be on Friday and Saturday. So as we're progressing through the line to get into the event, the motorhome wouldn't pull the trailer, i.e. the Ram pickup. So we put the Ram pickup off to the side and we were driving this in. This thing, stupid, cheap Summit starter, started giving me problems. So we put it off to the side because I figure, okay, well, I'm not gonna keep fighting the starter on and off with this thing. Finally, when we got about four or five cars away from getting in, I told my buddy, you just drive the motorhome, I'll jump in the 65, and I'll just watch the temperature on it. Hopefully it doesn't overheat. This car impressed the heck out of me. In 107 degree heat, in basically a parking situation, it was park and then move a spot and park and move a spot. It never broke 155 degrees on the temperature. This thing stayed so cool. I absolutely impressed with the temperature on this one. It stayed absolutely cool. So I'm super happy about that. Car ran great, performed great. Went through tech. We got number 3701 through tech. So we finally got in, got our spot. Got the tent set up and everything, went through tech. As soon as I come back from tech, like 10 minutes, I go in the motorhome, talking to my buddy Jason, playing with my son. We're getting ready to kind of figure out what we're gonna do. The generator on the motorhome shuts off. And I'm like, oh man. I mean, it wasn't even 10 minutes after we got into 10 minutes after I got out of tech. So maybe 45 minutes after we got our spot. So I'm like, okay, well, we kind of compensated for that. I have a Predator 5,000 watt remote start dual fuel generator. So I figure, okay, well, let's pull the Predator generator out, plug it into the motorhome, fire it up. So it starts running. So I'm like, okay, cool. We'll let the one in the motorhome cool down. When it cools down, we'll turn the Predator off and we'll fire the motorhome back up. I didn't fill the tank. My buddy Jason, when we were filling all the cars up and stuff, he said, hey, the generator's only at half a tank. Do you want me to fill it up? I'm like, no, we have fuel in the gas tank. I wouldn't even worry about it. Why I said that, I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? But, so we were running it and the thing ran out of gas. Well, when it ran out of gas, it heat soaked. And then when it heat soaked, that was it. It kept popping the little fault button. So it wouldn't run. We tried the generator on the motorhome, wouldn't start again. It would sputter and die. Like, man. And then we'd go out and flip the little breaker thing, and yeah. So then I told my buddy, I said, well, let's get my son Archer, and we'll just kind of walk around. We'll have a good time, right? And let it cool down. And so we walked around for about an hour or so, went over to Derek's burnout box. Again, super hot, 107 degree heat. And that's just the ambient temperature. Standing still on blacktop, you know, it's way more than that. You know how that goes. So we're walking around. I'm holding my son up. He's watching the burnout box. He's having a great time. He's, you know, again, every time a car stops. We walk around a little bit more, getting icy. It's starting to, the sun's starting to kind of go down a little bit, so it cooled down a bit. Maybe it went down from 107 to like 102 or something, 105. I don't know what it was. But the temperature was coming down. So I thought, okay, let's go jump back in the motorhome. We'll fire it back up. Start figuring out what we're going to do for dinner. I'll get the camera out, start recording day one of duct tape. Because honestly, after, you know, about 4 or 5 o'clock is when the event kind of really starts to get going. Everything on the first day is all about teching the cars, getting set up, getting prepared, and then everyone starts lining up to make passes, right? We get back to the motorhome and nothing will fire up. Neither generator will run. My son's crying because it's super hot. He's upset at this point, and I couldn't even leave the motorhome without him completely freaking out. I did buy him earmuffs, but the cars were really loud. Remember, he's 3, so a race car to us is pretty cool. You know, it's really loud. We had a Pinto wagon next to us with a small block Chevy in it. You know, of course, open headers, that kind of stuff. So every time that thing would fire up, he'd just freak out. Again, super hot. He's freaking out. Super uncomfortable. It was kind of just a progression of a lot of things, but the one thing that it comes down to is my son. He was not, I don't like seeing him like that. It's not that I want to cater to him and baby him, but at the same time, I'm worried about his personal well-being and his health, because there was a lot of race fuel running around, a lot of gasoline running around. The whole place smelled like gasoline, like burning rubber. Again, 107 degree heat. His face was beet red. He was sweating from every orifice, you know. And I told my buddy Jason, I said, okay, that's the limit for me. You know, when I can't protect my son from some of these things, I'm done at that point. I was waiting to kind of get a little bit of throwback from Jason, you know, little holdback, like, oh, hey, let's just wait for it to cool down. And he was on the same page. It's like we thought the same thing at the same time. He's like, yeah, no, let's pack it up and go. We just drove over 8 hours to get there. And now we're going to go ahead and pack it up and drive another 8 hours to get home, which we did. We fired up the motorhome, got the air conditioning running, which you're probably thinking to yourself, why didn't you just fire up the motorhome and let it run? It was idling the whole time. The problem is E450 Econoline Ford van air conditioning can't cool down an entire motorhome. It made it bearable in the front seats. But, you know, of course, he's 3. He doesn't want to sit there in the front seats. He wants to play with his cars and, you know, run around and have a good time. It wasn't a good atmosphere for him. It was extremely uncomfortable for an adult. If it were just me and my buddy Jason, we would have probably just kind of, you know, toughed it out, right? But when you see your son crying, beet red, sweating, and there's nothing you can do to stop that from happening, you want to do everything you possibly can. So we immediately fired up the motorhome. He was crying. He wouldn't even let me go outside to close the canopy over top the car and put away the generator and the tools and all that kind of stuff. He had to be out there with us. So I said, okay, we'll come out there with us, even though I know it was really hot. Sorry. I knew that's where he was going to be the most comfortable. So I told him, just stay with me. I always watched to make sure he didn't run off into one of the lanes with the cars driving by or something. And we got everything packed up as quickly as possible. And then I went ahead and jumped in the car, drove it out. Or no, my buddy Jason drove it out, I think. I don't know, I can't remember. Either I drove the motorhome or he drove the motorhome. I don't know. Either way, we drove it out. I think he drove the car. I drove the motorhome because my son was crying. We drove it outside the event into the dirt. He ran over, grabbed the Ram truck and trailer, brought it over, loaded the car up. By the time we got the car on the trailer, the sun you could see the horizon. The sun was deep in the horizon. It was down. You couldn't see the sun anymore. You see the hue from it. The temperature had dropped quite a bit. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, then you're good. Why'd you leave? Well, we got another day of this. Could we have possibly, nursed the generators along to make the event the next day? Maybe. But I don't know. I just got scared because he was extremely, uncomfortable is what it was. And, as a father, you don't want your son to be like that, to be in a situation like that. So we just left. We drove all night and got to about, I think, an hour north or east of Blythe. And then went ahead and shut it down at a rest stop. Everybody went to sleep in the motorhome. At that time, the generator came back on, was running because the temperature was a lot farther down. Made it home the next day by about noon. I dropped him off. He was happy to see mom and grandma again. Came back to the shop, unloaded everything, returned the motor home, and that was it. Learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot on that trip. One, I'm not going to go to duct tape drags again until they change the date. The end of September in summer, come on, man. I've been there 2 times. I've been there 2 years now. Both years were just retardedly hot. I think last year was 102 or 105. Uncomfortably hot. That year, I told Jason, I said, hey, next year, let's rent a motorhome. We can stay here on the premises. That way, when we get hot, retreat back to the motorhome, cool down a little bit, have a drink, relax, and then go back out to the event. So that's what we did this year. No. Motorhome could not handle that kind of heat. And so I told Jason, I said, look, that's it for me. I'm not going to go to duct tape again until they change the date, honestly. 1 month later, it would probably be a lot more fun, a lot more, I could bring my son along to it. He would obviously still have maybe a problem with the loud cars, but again, earmuffs, he would be fine. I wouldn't see him absolutely sweating and beat red from the heat. So that's it as far as duct tape goes, as far as I'm concerned. If they don't change the date on it, I'm not going to go again. It's just not. And that's the sad part, because the event itself is amazing. The way it's set up, the structure, everything is phenomenal. Like, it's so much fun because you can have the most beater car and go out and have such a great time. You don't have to have this crazy expensive car that's custom made for drag racing or anything else. You can just have whatever project car you either dug out of the garage 2 weeks prior or, have been working on in your backyard and you want to just go out and have a little bit of fun with it. There's so many different levels to the event. You can go to the burnout box, put some skinnies on the back of your one-legger, which we saw, and just have a blast blowing it up, all the different events. It's such a good event. Please change the event date so that you can have a good time. My buddy Jason, I think this is his 4th or 5th year going. I want to say 4th year. The first year he went, it was still called the zip tie drags, but zip tie had a problem with that, so they renamed it to the duct tape drags. And when it was zip tie drags, it was the second week of January or something like that, beginning of the year. He said it was awesome. During the day it's like 75, maybe gets to 80 degrees. At night it's cool and cold. He said it was great. Had a good time. Maybe even caught a little bit of rain on one of the days. I can't remember what he said. But all of that is bearable and acceptable. But 107 degree heat with 102, we'll say 102 to 105 the previous year, too hot. It's just too hot. I'm sorry. It's hard to have fun when it's that hot. Some of the guys, hey, for the guys that can go out there and do it, I don't know, call me a baby, whatever, I don't care. There was guys out there in tents that were, the funny part is they put us into a spot, we're a motorhome, the guys on our right and the guys on our left were just truck and trailers. No motorhomes. Why they didn't stick all the motorhomes together, I don't know. But I felt horrible because the guys that went on to the left of us, they set tents up right next to where the generator's running. And I looked at Jason, I'm like, what are we supposed to do? He's like, I don't know. He's like, maybe they shouldn't set a tent up right there. I'm like, I felt horrible because the generator's running right into what they were doing. They didn't complain about it. None of them complained about it. These are all grown men, so, they knew what they were doing. But, how do you set up a tent in 107 degree heat on blacktop? Obviously at night, the temperature is going to cool down. You'll be able to get some sleep. But I had no plans on shutting that generator off. I had every intention of running that thing for 2 days straight. So, I don't know. Kind of a little bit let down, just because I was trying to figure out a good way to where I could go and enjoy that event, because again, so much fun. That it's the way it's structured, everything. I mean, you can go meet Freiberger, you can get autographs, by Freiberger and all the rest of the crew, and Vice Grip, which Vice Grip was driving around handing out waters. A little warm, but that's okay. At least there were waters. He went to hand me a water, and I said hi. He didn't really say anything. He handed me a water and drove off, but that's fine. At least he's out there handing out waters. That was nice of him. But I'm really kind of just let down by the event, only for the fact that it's scheduled in such a bad time. I was really looking forward to putting this car down the drag strip. It wasn't going to be fast. In no way, shape, or form is this thing was ever going to be fast. We were making predictions on what we thought it might be. And I had actually predicted this thing doing 15-second quarter mile, which is actually kind of not bad. I just now realized that when I changed the valve covers, I forgot to take the breather out of it. Had it sitting on the inner fender. It traveled that whole trip with the breather just sitting on the inner fender. Anyways, so little I don't know, little letdown. I told my buddy Jason, I said, look, next year, again, unless they reschedule duct tape for a different time of the year, I'm not going to go. What I am going to do is Power Tour. I'm so upset that I'm not going to make Power Tour this year. It's coming up really soon, actually, if not this weekend. It's 5 different events. One of them is in Arizona. So it's at Radford. But not all of the events are there. So, it was like, I'd have to look up exactly what they were. San Diego and a couple places in California. Arizona, Radford Racing. I think one of them was Las Vegas, and then ended up back here again or something like that. Anyways, 5 days, 5 events. The whole Power Tour setup, where you got to go to these locations, take pictures, do all that kind of stuff, just like the East Coast. Oh man, and that's what I really wanted last year. I really wanted it to be that whole kind of Power Tour experience where, you had to do all this stuff and make it. I was kind of sad that it wasn't that way last year. Then they fixed it for this year, and they made it totally awesome, and now I can't go. I shouldn't have went to duct tape, but I didn't know. Well, I did know how hot it was going to be. Shouldn't have done that. But that's life. That's the way it goes. So that's my story for duct tape drags. But honestly, you know, what's the fun part? The fun part is not the destination. The fun part is getting to the destination, right? That's what they always say in life. It's the road you travel, not the event you go to, or whatever, however it goes. And that was the fun in all of this. Putting the 7-liter together, even though I was beat till 1 o'clock in the morning for a week straight. And now the car is, well, somewhat together. It runs. I just need to figure out cooling system. And I got to take my 65 hardtop out that was buried in the back that I hadn't started up for months. I got to put it in 107-degree heat and see that the thing, I can't believe it idled at 155 degrees. Would not go over that. Ran fantastic. A little sad it didn't get to go down the drag strip, but hey, you know. But that's really the fun in all of this. The fun is getting out there, doing stuff like going down the drag strip, hanging out with people you don't know, meeting new people, having a good time. Obviously, all that kind of stuff is fun. But the most fun for me is the progression up to the event, getting to the event, building the car, doing all that kind of stuff. That is absolutely the most fun to me. So. You know, I had a good time. And then when I got home and I went to drop my son off at the house, because I took the motorhome straight home, and then called my wife and said, hey, I'm 5 minutes away. Come outside and you can get him out of the motorhome. He said, I had a great time. I love camping, is what he said. So he had, even though through all of that, he had a good time. That wasn't really camping. That was more 16, 17 hours worth of driving is what that was. But he had fun. He got to see trains and trucks. The first night when we stopped and slept just kind of east of Blythe, we woke up in the morning and there was a pilot truck stop. I ran a semi for a lot of years, so I knew that there were showers. I was in a motorhome, but the shower's the size of a shoebox. I know they have showers in there you can buy, so I told my buddy Jason, hey, you ever had a truck driver shower? He said, nope. So I showed him how to do a truck driver shower, how to get one, what to do, that kind of stuff. Obviously, he took his own shower. I took my son, and we went, and my son had a truck driver shower at 3 years old. It's pretty cool, man. You know, it's actually not that bad. For those who haven't done it, it's really not all that bad. It is a little strange because you're in a gas station and you're going in to take a shower, but the bathrooms are spacious and clean for the most part. I mean, you got to remember there's constantly truck drivers going in there to take showers. They do clean them in between, but you know, you're wearing flip-flops. You're not ever touching the floor. You're taking precautions, but for the most part, very clean showers, very nice. Everything is pretty high-end in there. So, but anyways, there was definitely some positives to the trip. My son had a great time. I'm glad he did. I felt horrible looking at him beat red, sweating, crying. That was too much for me. So, anyways, guys, I wanted to give you a quick update because I know there was a lot leading up to that. I don't think I'm going to put duct tape drags in the title of this film because I don't want to lead people into it. I more or less just wanted to share with the people that do actually watch my channel what happened, why there's no video from duct tape. But I don't want to give the duct tape drags a bad reputation or anything else like that. I don't want to drag new people in to basically tell them, hey, don't go because it's too hot. Look, if you can bear the heat, go. Have a good time. It is an awesome event. I just did it in the wrong way. It happens. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. For those who followed the build up to the duct tape drags, thank you so much. I had a great time building on the cars and going to the event. It was just a very short event that we went to. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, until next time.